did that again.
Can you hear anything?
Yeah, they're talking among each other.
Feel your thirst beside the river.
Oh, we make that? No. I heard them talking. And now we can make small talk. Oh, happy talk.
From your hand. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand.
Hi, welcome to Healing Outside the Box. I'm Rosemary Lachance, a Reiki energy healer and a spiritual teacher.
And I'm Jayne Power, author, angel channeler, and owner of an organic hair salon.
And we are dedicated to providing you with food for thought information and answers to all modalities of alternative healing, spiritual development, animal welfare, environmental concerns, and so much more in the form of guest speakers who are experts in their field. We ask you to embrace the show with an open mind. We will give you our contact information at the end of the show. And we would love to hear any show ideas you may have or any people that you feel would make interesting guests. Enjoy the show. Okay,
You're welcome.
tonight is show number 107. Wow.
Not bad.
And we have with us tonight Lynette Turner, who's a positivologist. That's something really different. Welcome, Lynette.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, Lynette.
Welcome. Thank you for welcoming me.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Lynette. Lynette is the author of 10 B's, B-E, apostrophe S, of Positivity, 10 Steps to a More Positive Way of Living. Has been a writer for more than 20 years, writing primarily poetry, and has been published in the journals Dream Shaman, Nomad's Journey, the International Book of Poetry, 2 volumes, poetry websites, and several Connecticut chapbooks. In addition to Lynette's workshop based on her book, The 10 B's of Positivity, she also teaches workshops on dream interpretation, which is going to be another show we're going to do with her, and on Angel Speak workshop, which teaches participants how to connect to their angels. A motivational speaker and
Positivologist.
That noise. What's that noise?
It's a vacuum cleaner. They're cleaning the hall.
A motivational speaker and a positivologist, Lynette is excited to share her philosophy of how she lives her life by way of this book. Her passion in life is helping people, helping them realize that they are worthy of all they deserve, and that we each have the power to chart our own course. In addition to being a positivologist, Lynette is a certified angel speak facilitator, certified dream teacher with the Robert Moss School of Active Dreaming, a Reiki practitioner, and a singer-songwriter. Oh! Her first 2 CDs, Songbird Serenade, On the Wings of Angels, and Coming of Age, a trilogy of mindful meditations, were released on Free to Fly Records. She is also a sound healing practitioner, having completed professional training in sound healing conducted by Tom Kenyon under the auspices of Acoustic Brain Research. You are a busy lady.
I am.
Oh my goodness.
I love it.
You have to with all these things that you do. Wow. So the first question we always ask everyone is, how did you get into this field?
It's found me.
It found you,
It
okay.
found me. Yeah, ever since I was a small child. I'm from Alaska.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh.
Far, far away.
Yeah.
A little bit chillier than it is here.
Yeah.
But even when I was very young, I was remembering things which turned out to be past lives, which I didn't know when I was very, very young. You know, that's what I was remembering. I was always fascinated with dreams. And so I journaled from a very young age. I was doing poetry and just writing down how my day was or what I was observing around me. And I felt a connection to the angels since I was very young, too. So I always felt a little different, I must admit. It's great when you find other like-minded people that you feel connected to, but
When you were young, you didn't find anybody, did you?
No, and I was just like,
It's frustrating.
I just feel so different. But then, you know, I'd meet a person here or there. And then when I moved to the East Coast, I was very lucky. I just happened to connect to a number of people who were like-minded. And I was like, feels like home.
Isn't it? Yeah. It's so wonderful when
fantastic.
when you connect with people. You can talk to someone about it.
Yeah, and it's wonderful to have all these different modalities. We know that we're never alone because we have our dream guides, we have the angels.
Mm-hmm.
We know with the positivity we get to choose the kind of attitude we have, and we wake up every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a really exciting journey, and I've met some fascinating people along the way.
Wow.
Awesome. Now, what is a positivologist?
Yes, people do ask, what is a positivologist? A positivologist is a person who works with individuals or groups of people to help them chart the most positive, wonderful, passionate life possible.
Oh.
And you won't find the word in the dictionary. I was actually meditating one day and talking to my guides, my angels, like, what do I call what I do? Because I was spending a lot of time with friends and family and strangers at the airport or traveling, talking about the things I was doing in my life to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
And that little voice said, "You're a positivologist." I went, "Positivologist?" I liked the ring of it, but I was like, I never heard of that. So I looked it up, and it wasn't in the dictionary, and I Googled it, and it wasn't there. And so I trademarked it, and so I use it as a way to describe the various modalities that I work with. But in the big picture, it's about just reminding people that we all can walk the path of positivity, and what a wonderful difference that can make in our lives.
Wow. That's great. So your book, let's see. Which one are we talking about? It says, how did you come up with the title for your book?
The 10 B's of
The
Positivity.
10
Right.
B's of Positivity. The book, it sort of wrote itself. It wasn't one of those things, sometimes in life you'll say, before I cross over to the other side, I want to write a book, or I want to do this or that. That wasn't the case, but because I journal a lot, I had been writing down various things I was doing in my life to be positive, and it ended up being 10 points. And so I thought, well,
Wow.
that title came to me, and I thought that works just fine, so I'll call it the 10 B's of Positivity.
Awesome.
That's a good idea.
Now, can we go through
Some of
10
the B's?
Yeah,
Some of
some
the
of the
B's,
some of the
some of the
B's of
Bs.
positivity.
You want to show their book?
I do. I just want to point out the cover, and
Okay.
the cover is
A dream catcher.
dream catcher. And dream catchers, I believe, are very powerful
Oh, yeah.
in the Native
They are.
tradition. The dreams that we don't really need to deal with that time won't come through the dream catcher, but all the other ones come through. And so I have a dream catcher over my bed, and I have it on my wall, and I have some on my window at work. I just really believe in the power of the dreams and the catching. So this is just to remind people, you have that instinct or that need to want to be positive. Your dreams can come true, and you can live a positive life. Because some people think, oh, I just can't. Things are so tough, and things are so hard.
I know.
Things are
Right.
so rough.
It can be very hard.
It can be hard, but I just know from experience that every day we just
It can
get
be
to
done.
get up and make that choice. For me, it's just more difficult and heavy if I'm depressed or in a negative state of mind. And if I'm in a lighter state of mind and I'm more positive, I just have more energy.
Right.
So that's a big reason why I do it. I want to be energized so that I can deal with the challenges, because I have challenges just like everybody else.
Right.
Sometimes people say, oh, you're a positivologist. You must not have any problems. Sure I do. I have challenges just like everybody else does. I just have made a decision that I'm going to deal with them in the most positive way possible. Every challenge that comes, I take it as a lesson. I believe whatever comes to me, I draw to me. So if it's great, wonderful things, then I brought that to myself. If it's something that's not so great, okay, I brought this to myself too. What do I need to learn from it?
Right.
So I don't have to go through it again, and just see that light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
I think we can either jump into a dark hole and stay there, or we can say, I see that light, even if it's a little glimmer. I'm going for it. I'm going for that little light, and move, in that direction. So that's the path I've chosen to take, and I get a lot of joy working with other people.
Now, when you
to help
find
them,
yourself going down that little path of that little side road of negativity,
yeah.
are there little techniques that you
Well,
use?
first I stop and I acknowledge it. I don't pretend it's not happening. I don't pretend it's not a challenge. I stop and I acknowledge, okay, this is a bump in the road. This wasn't anticipated. I don't really want to be here, but I am here. So I need to deal with it. So, how can I just wrap my head around this in a more light-filled way to deal with it versus just going into the, because I think we just attract, you might know people who say nothing good ever happens to me, everything negative ever happens to
know
me,
a lot of those
everything's
people.
bad. And I really believe we're all energy. So that's what, if you tell the universe that everything bad always happens to you,
It's gonna,
I think the
yeah, it's
universe
a law of
is just
attraction.
going to bring it to you. So I encourage people, even if at the moment things aren't going as well as they want, to try to let yourself feel that way, so the universe can sense that, and then they can bring the good and the light to you.
Right.
So even if it's, it's like everything's going to be fine, everything is fine. Everything
Now, what
is
about surrounding yourself with the right kind of people too?
very important to do.
I mean, should you kind of weed out people that are negative influences
you
in your
leave.
life?
You can stay.
Yep. I call them sort of
No,
energy.
because they bring you right down.
They do.
They do.
Like energy
They're
vampires.
they're
I call 'em.
vampires,
They
yeah.
just like suck all the energy out of you.
They do.
So, yes, it's great to try to attract and be around those people, but sometimes we find ourselves in situations where the people, sometimes you have
You can't
grumpy
get away.
kids. or
I'm a
you have
hairdresser, so I
COVID.
know.
Right. But I think, you can sort of surround yourself with white light and remind yourself that you don't have to take in everybody else's stuff. It's their stuff.
Right.
And then I just try to stay. I will do that. I literally put a white light around myself and just say, thank you that I'm surrounded by this white light, and I'm going to move in the positive energy. And what can quite often happen is it rubs off on other people. I always joke and say I just wear people down.
Yeah.
Instead of fighting the positivity, they eventually goes, all right, okay, I'm fine. I'm going to try to see the upside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a little girl, as I was growing up through my lifetime, and maybe some people out there can relate to this, I had problems with my mother, and she's passed on now, and I've made peace with her and everything, which is really great. But just before she passed, but I would think things were going well, and then all of a sudden she'd come and she'd start yelling and doing this and bringing up stuff that I did a long time ago, and I thought, oh my God, she's been holding on to that for so long. And I would thinking, everything's good, and I'd be so happy, and then all of a sudden that would happen, and I would just get it was like having the rug pulled out from under me. So I developed an attitude finally. The last time it happened, I was a teenager, and I said, okay, that's it. I can't have this rug pulled out from under anymore. I can't, deal with this kind of hurt anymore. So I'm going to expect the worst. I'm going to expect the worst, and if the worst happens, at least I won't fall so far down. But if it doesn't happen, I'll be that much more excited when it does happen. But of course, I know now that kind of attitude, expecting the worst, will only bring the worst.
Right.
Well, a lot of people think that's,
It's a
it's going to
protection.
jinx you too. If
Yeah.
you expect
Yeah.
it to all work out. Oh, I don't want to jinx myself.
Yeah. The footfall. If I think
Yeah.
positive, this is wonderful, this is all happening, and all of a sudden you wait for the foot to fall. Those are the things that
I think it's the
stand
shoe.
in the way that I can think of, that I've been fighting all my life, trying to be positive. Doing a better job now, much better. But I'm sure there's people out there that are still going through that.
Right. I
So-
think we carry a lot from our past experiences with us. And so it's, little by little having the courage to say, yesterday was yesterday. Maybe these things weren't great, but this is today. This is a new day, and every day I get to make a new choice. And if we tell ourselves that every morning when we get up, it makes such a difference. When I get up in the morning, it's the first thing I do. I write down something I'm going to be grateful for, and I visualize the day happening in a good way. And everything doesn't always go exactly the way it's planned, but I really believe it goes more in a positive way, because that's what I'm expecting, and that's what I'm working towards, and that's what I'm looking towards. And again, it's just more energizing for me to do it that way, because everyone I'm sure has woken up one morning and said, I just don't feel like dealing with it. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with that.
Exactly.
And it just makes you feel so heavy. And then you have to deal with it anyway. So if you have to
Right,
deal with it
right.
anyway, if we can just sort of shift that energy and shift that thinking, I think it helps us get through the day.
So how long does it take to get that way?
I think it's a ongoing, all of our life process.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody stays there 100% of the time. Even I don't stay there 100% of the time. But what I don't do is stay in it. I don't stay sort of stuck in it. Like I said, I acknowledge it and go through it. But you do, and you can sense it, you can feel, because you can feel people's energy, right? You can feel those people that are just, heavy,
too.
and,
Right.
And so it's like, I just try to give them light, give them light.
Well, I think the gratitude thing is really important.
Critically important.
I just had a dream about my sister-in-law who passed away a couple years ago. In the dream, she was saying, always remember, just be thankful.
Really?
I just had that dream last week.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful
Great.
message. Wonderful
dream.
A
message.
really
Yeah.
good message.
Great message.
But people do. They have a tendency to concentrate on all that's going wrong in their life
Right,
and
right.
not what's going right in their
And there's
life.
always somebody out there that has it worse off. No, I don't.
I know,
Whatever
but I
your
feel sorry
situation
for
is
that
in-
poor slop that does have it worse off that we keep using as an example.
Yeah, no, it's true. But
You know?
we can do what we can to help other people. But I think things could always be better and things could always be worse.
Right.
So what can we appreciate about where we are?
Then there's the guilt. Somebody's having it really bad, and you go, "Gee, I'm having it good. I feel terrible. They're suffering so much." There's
Right.
another side of the coin.
There is, because we think we aren't worthy
Right.
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
If she's suffering, then how am I going to be happy? I'm sure these are things people have gone through.
Right,
I'm just trying to put them out there so they can realize that
Mm-hmm.
you're not alone. It happens to all of us, right?
Absolutely.
So can we run through a couple of
Yeah.
the
What are the 10 B's of positivity?
10 B's of positivity. Be honest. What's working and what's not working in your life. You can't make things better if you don't acknowledge what's not the way you would like it to be. But what's working, and be happy and acknowledge that. To be you, your authentic self, versus what other people want you to be. Because we often have partners or children or coworkers who, want you to be this way or that. But what if you're just who you are? What if you're just truly authentic?
That's
who
a
you
tough
are?
one.
It can be challenging.
That's
It
a
can definitely
very
be
tough
challenging.
one to do, yeah.
Yep. Be open-minded. I know even as
Oh,
I get
that's-
older,
that's a
you
good one.
get sort of stuck in your ways. But what if we looked at things from a different perspective? It just makes life a lot more interesting if we do that. Be loving, starting with ourselves. Love
That's
ourselves.
Yeah,
thing.
very
and then
important.
love others. Yeah, it's critical to
It
be
is
able
one
to
of the
love
hardest
yourself in
things
order
to
to
do.
love
It's one of the
others.
questions I've asked people when I do spiritual psychotherapy. Can you look yourself in the mirror and say, "I love you"?
That's what I have people do. Yeah, it's a wonderful exercise.
And they say no, they can't.
Yeah,
They can't do it.
it's hard for people.
What?
It's
Oh,
hard for people to
sorry.
do that. To be a good listener, which I think is largely a learned skill. To be really attentive when someone's paying attention. Turn off the cell phone and really pay attention to that person. Be grateful. We were just talking about the importance of being grateful every day. Be spiritual, whatever that means to you. That's going to be a different thing for different people. But to connect with what spirit is, what spiritual means for you. To be positive, of course. Be positive. Be forgiving. Very important, I think, too, to really be forgiving, again, of ourselves and other people, because that just holds a lot of, unnecessary energy sometimes if we have revenge or we're angry at somebody, but to really, truly be forgiving.
Being forgiving of ourselves, that's
Yes.
a toughie.
Yeah,
That really is a toughie.
it can
Yeah.
be very challenging. And then to be present in the moment, because we don't have, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow for sure. We don't know what's going to, yesterday's gone. So let's really just be conscious of what's happening here and now and be present. Yeah.
So that's all in this book, huh?
That's on this book, and I have some examples that I can share each of the chapters.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So when I think about being honest, I think about when I work with people, the areas that come up quite a bit are our relationships or our health, our work environment, and are we really being honest in what's happening in each of those places? So if you look at your work environment, it's not currently it's not so wise for people to say, I don't like my job, I'm quitting, because the way the economy is, it's not like a lot of jobs out there. But if you're in a place, if you're lucky enough to have a job, because we realize there's a lot of people who don't have jobs, and you're not happy there, well, what can you do to make yourself happy? Who can you work with another coworker? Can you talk to your boss about some different kinds of projects to work on? If you have other interests, even when you're working, there's so much opportunity now with going on the internet and taking free classes or workshops or going to a local community center to really spend some time on what you're passionate about. And it's amazing how once you do that, how it can transform
can
into
really
something
snowball.
else. It may become a full-time job or a part-time job, or you let other people know what you're interested in, and they let other people know what you're interested in. So to really just okay, if I'm not happy, what can I do to make it a better situation now? And then to look for other work if that's what you're interested in.
Instead of feeling trapped.
Instead of feeling trapped. And a lot of people who
a lot of people
have
do feel
lost their
trapped.
jobs have said, oh, this is an opportunity for me to really do this other,
Exactly.
this other work that I've always longed to do, but I never, I wasn't brave enough to quit my job on Wall Street and go raise tomatoes or whatever it is.
Right.
But, to really do that. when you think of personal relationships, same thing. Sometimes you find people are in relationships and they're not happy in those relationships. When I moved here, I moved 4,000 miles away from home. I didn't know anybody, and I was like, well, I can consider myself lonely or alone. I said, well, right now I'm alone because I really don't know anybody, but I'm not lonely because I have myself.
Right.
And I'm an okay person, and I like my company all right.
Yeah.
And so over time, I met people, I started going to poetry readings, and it just sort of snowballed, and now I'm so busy I can hardly keep up with myself.
Yeah.
And I always think if you're in a relationship that you're not happy with, that it's better to be by yourself than to be in an environment that's not healthy for you, that you're not happy. And it can be scary, if people aren't used to being alone or they don't quite know how they're going to take care of themselves. But, I think if we really think of what we need to nurture ourselves and to be healthy and to be happy, that's the best thing we can do with relationships. Sometimes even friendships, some of them have to go away. They're no longer serving us.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if someone's like a energy vampire and they're always complaining or they're never supporting you, then I think it's okay to, if that drifts away, someone else will come in and take that person's place, I think.
Now, are you in a relationship?
I am.
You are. So how does that work with someone? Is that a person like positive like you are?
Yes, luckily that I connected
found
with
him
someone
that
who's
way? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
really easygoing, a musician, artist, so just
Oh, that's
go
great.
with the flow,
Perfect.
go with the flow kind of
Like
person.
attracts like things.
So
sounds
that
like,
that's been lucky because that can be challenging too if you're really working on your spirituality or anything and you don't have someone there who's supportive. That doesn't mean you can't do it because I know lots of people who are doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to
they're
ask
taking
you.
charge of their own life. And
If you were ever in a relationship that wasn't positive, you yourself?
I really haven't been.
No.
I mean, I've been in relationships where people weren't quite as gung-ho about the positivity
Right.
as I am. But I've really been lucky that people have just supported. And like I said, I really think I just wear people down.
Well, I think sometimes people get annoyed with it.
Yeah.
Oh, you sound like Pollyanna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
Mary Poppins,
and,
yeah.
But the thing is, I never try to, if someone wants to talk about it, I talk about it, but I'm not on a crusade to force anybody to.
Right.
Because
Right.
they're not going to do it unless it's like their time anyway, unless it really feels right for them.
That's true. You can't force it on anyone.
Yeah, I dated a guy once. He's like, "You're always happy. Why are you always happy?" I'm like, "Well, what's wrong with that?"
Yes. And the third issue for this first chapter is our health, being honest about our health. Oh, that's really a tricky one. Are we eating right? Are we exercising as we should? Are we getting enough sleep? And my downfall is sugar. I am a sugar addict. Everyone's got something, right? I don't drink coffee. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink alcohol. But I can eat like a whole bag of candy and it won't faze me. Nothing's ever too sweet,
Really?
And so when I'm on a good wave, I'm on a good wave right now. I haven't had sugar for quite a while, but I can really, I feel better.
Yeah.
So I miss it because you see it everywhere, and it's so
It's
enticing.
in everything.
Yeah, but if I'm being really honest about what I need to do for me to feel the best I can be, I know for me, I just have to be very moderate or not eat sugar.
Yeah, me too.
And so
It's a killer, isn't it?
it's hard.
Ooh.
I mean, it's funny because it feels good, because it's like I just feel better. But
Yeah.
still, I'll see something, some really yummy piece of cake, and or everyone else is eating it. And if I'm in a right frame of mind, it doesn't, it really doesn't
Well, what
bother
about
me.
moderation?
Yeah,
every
moderation,
now
I would
and
say,
then.
yeah,
And that's
moderation.
good.
I'm sure we can rationalize that
we
pizza
can.
cake.
So I'm what happens for me though, I'm moderate for a little while, and then I'm like, well, there's just 3 more cookies in that bag. I'll just like,
Yeah, let's polish them
I'll
off.
just finish that up. So those are some of the areas that come up with people in terms of being, really being honest.
Yeah.
The second one is to be you, and we talked about being your authentic self.
Right.
Who are you really versus what other people want you to be? What if you always wear, greens, but you've always wanted to wear bright red and, high platform shoes, but, I really can't do that because what will people think, what will people say? They'll get used to it. Be who you want to be.
That's why I opened my own salon.
Yeah.
So I could wear jeans and T-shirts and be comfortable.
And do whatever you want to do. In my office at work, I have like the dream catchers on the windows, and I have affirmations on the walls, and I burn candles in there. And when I first came to my job, there were people who were kind of, who does that in their office?
Yeah.
Well, now my office is where people sort of gravitate to.
Yeah.
It's kind of peaceful and calm in there.
Yeah.
I'll smell a blueberry candle, and I'm like, someone else is burning a candle. It's like if we're going to make a call to a client or something, or it's been a rough day, I burn that candle, and I take a deep breath and visualize how I want it to be. And I figure I spend so much time at my office that I may as well be as comfortable
Exactly.
as I can make it, so that I am functional and I get as much work done as I can do. So I really encourage people to just be yourself And
make your space sacred.
make your
wherever
space
you
sacred. Yeah, and just be who you are. And other people, they'll like it or they won't, but more than likely they'll get used to it because
They
you
love
have
it.
you have the
Most
right.
of
And
them love
I
it.
think ultimately they respect people for truly being for being who you are. So I think that's an important
Well,
one.
if they didn't like it, then they really weren't much of a friend anyway.
That's true.
So if they go their separate way, no big loss. It's a shame, but it's
yeah,
not,
yeah,
you
I
know.
think that's true sometimes.
Well, you kind of outgrow people sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just like partners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the third one is to be open-minded. To be open-minded.
Yeah.
We get,
That's
because we
a
get
hard
sort
one
of
for
in
people.
this routine of, get up and I do this, and these are the kind of books I read, and these are the kind of movies I go to, and that this is just kind of the life that we lead. So what if we just sort of shook it up a little bit? So I share this example of years ago, a friend wanted me to go with her to see an animated movie, and I was like, I don't really like anime. I don't watch animated movies. And
Really?
I remembered like Bambi. I'm dating myself now, but that's what I remember. I was like Bambi, and it was like so sad and poor
Oh,
Bambi.
yeah.
So they just kept saying, you gotta go, you gotta go. So I finally went more to be with my friend than to see the movie, but it was Shrek, and it was like so good.
Oh,
Wasn't that the
yeah,
best?
that
it was
was
so
good.
good.
Love Shrek.
So then there was Shrek 1,
Me
and then there
too.
was
That was
Shrek
so
2,
good.
and then Shrek, and then it was just like, oh, and then I just, loved animated movies. After that, then I watched that Finding Nemo with that little fish, and I was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
petrified the whole time. I know it's for children. How can these children watch this? That little fish almost dies every, few seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I hadn't just been open-minded, okay, I'm going to go and see this movie, even though I don't know that I'm going to like it. And it's like, I completely opened my eyes. And then, of course, Avatar and so much they can do.
I want to see the Toy Story.
And
Toy Story
I've seen those too. And these are like winning awards, these movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
they are.
it takes a lot of skill to do them.
There's a new one that just came out, Paranormal.
Oh, I've heard the title of it, but I
Paranormal.
haven't.
What is
It's
that?
an animated. I think it's a Tim Burton movie.
Ah,
It looks good.
I'm
Oh,
It
yes,
looks good.
yes.
Yeah, so just to have this different, sort of perspective. Let's say whatever your political views are, just to be open-minded about someone else's views, even if you don't agree with them. I just like to put myself in someone else's shoes and just imagine what they're thinking or going through. Even if I don't agree with it, at least I have an understanding. But we can be very like,
Right.
no, this is what I think, this is what I believe, whether it's religion, whether it's politics, whether it's, read different books, read some science fiction, even though you never read science fiction. It just helps us to sort of look at the world in a whole different way.
You're
So,
right. Most people really set in their
yeah,
ways.
because it's easy, it's convenient,
Yeah.
it's not a lot of work to just do the same. I mean, I think it's a little bit boring to do that, but I think it's just an exciting way to be and to explore. And I like to travel, and so you like going to different cultures and even around the United States, just to be open-minded about, wow, this is the way. In other cultures, it's fascinating. It's like, oh, because the way we eat and think and pray, it's not the only way. There's all these other ways of living. And so I think it makes our life experience so much richer if we can just let ourselves be really open.
You're right.
Open-minded.
You're absolutely right.
You'd be proud of me. I just bought 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, no.
Me too.
Just because I wanted to find out what all the
Yeah,
hubbub
me
was
too.
about.
Me too. I'm about
You know?
halfway through, and I'm like, everyone's reading and talking about
All
this
my
book,
clients
so-
are like, oh my God, I just finished the third one and now I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever read a book like that, so what the heck.
It's an erotic book, right?
Not neurotic.
Erotic.
Erotic.
Very erotic.
I'll give it to you when I'm done,
No,
Dolly.
thank you. No.
Oh, come on, open that mind.
Please.
Open-minded. And so the fourth one is to be loving. So you mentioned this, to be loving, and to start with ourselves, which can be difficult because a lot of people don't love themselves because of their past experiences, because we don't think we're worthy, but we are. And I think if we can let ourselves appreciate and love ourselves, then we're more able to be loving to other people, whether it's a stranger on the street who asks for $1, or whether it's your partner or your coworker or your neighbor. If you love and appreciate who you are, and so that means we have to drop the judgment because we're very judgmental of ourselves and all the things that are wrong with us.
Oh, yeah.
How many people talk about what's right with us? And if we do, then people think, oh, that person's sort of conceited or stuck up.
True.
Exactly.
But it's okay to just talk about everything that's wrong. I'm too short, I'm too tall, I'm too blonde, I'm too dark, I'm too,
Right.
we're perfect.
We have a hard time believing that.
We do,
I'm
we
one of
do,
them.
we do. But we are,
I've been told by
we
the angels
are
for a long
loving,
time.
and we're so perfect because if we think about it, as many people as there are in this world, there is nobody else out there exactly like you. Nobody. That's fascinating to me. That's fascinating.
Well, the other thing, too, is in this world we put too much emphasis on physical appearance.
We do, instead
And
of our
physical
heart and what's
appearance,
inside.
yeah, it's going to go. It's going to go.
Yep.
And there's some really gorgeous people who are not very nice as a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that if you see somebody and love them for what's in their heart and the kind of person they are, and try to look at that, I know that to me it always comes out when I meet someone. They could be the most beautiful or whatever, you know, but it's what they say, how they talk, how they treat people. That's what makes me fall for them as a friend or a relationship,
Right.
because that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've met people, like even with men, I've met men who weren't very attractive, I thought, you know, and then I listened to them and things they had to say, and they were interesting and they were nice, and then I fell for them, and then I thought they were the most gorgeous men I ever met. Because you become beautiful in your eyes.
Yeah, because
when
their spirit and their soul and their
Right.
heart and how they, like you said, how you treat people is really important. So we have to, I think, sometimes train ourselves to be loving. And the example that you mentioned is exactly what I have people do. I have them look in the mirror and say their name, you know, I love you, Rosemary. And, you know, I'm like, you're in the bath. I have them go in the bath. I'm like, nobody's in there. You know, close the door, look in the mirror, and people say, I can't look myself in the eye. I said, but if you try it long enough, you will. You know, that rule of 21. You do it long enough, it'll become routine. You'll start to do it. And I said,
What's the rule of 21?
there's a rule, if you do something long enough, 21 days, you get used to it. And so you get into the
okay.
rhythm of it, and then it becomes a habit, and you're able to do it.
have
So
to
I'm
start
like,
with going, I love you, and walk away.
yeah, people say I can't look
still love
myself in the
you.
eye. I'm like, keep trying every day, and then what'll happen if you say it enough is then you'll start to believe it.
That's what they say.
Yeah, and then I have them add on to it, you know. So you're talking in the mirror, I love you, Rosemary, because you have a great heart. I love you, Rosemary, because you're caring for your neighbor. You're very kind to your neighbors, because we all have good things about us. And so I have people do that, and it can be tricky and challenging, but it's great to see them sort of go through the, you know, that metamorphosis from I can't look into the mirror until I said it and I believe it. And then it's a great example for those around. You know, if people see you being nurturing and caring for yourself, for your children and your friends, to see that, it's great. It's sort of a ripple effect.
Right.
So, you know, to start with telling yourself that you're lovable and that you're loving, and then to be that way to other people. And I always think that, you know, we should be as kind to, you know, the person who's picking up the garbage as we should to the
Exactly.
president. I mean, we really should be. We're
yeah.
all just people.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you don't always see that. You see people,
you
you
don't.
know, treating
Treat
someone
people
who's
like
homeless.
they're not even
and-
there.
Yeah, and, you know,
Status is so important to some
it
people.
really
yeah.
is. It really is. And you know, everybody should be equally important. You know, if there's some big corporate office, you know, for the right reason, not because of you know what you might gain from it, but you should be just as nice to the secretary as the CEO. That's the person that's going to get you in the door. You know,
Right.
and they're human just like you are. So I really think that's critical, and I think it's important for us to be loving and respectful of our children. You know, and how we treat our kids. I'm always amazed when sometimes I'm just walking in the grocery store and watching how people act or interact with each other or treat each other, and how they talk to each other, the tone they use, or like, God, why do we do that to each other? You know, we should never speak to anybody in any other tone or any other way than we want to be treated.
Right.
Period. I mean, it's so simple. You know, you just
Yeah.
don't always see that happening. So, I think being loving is a very important part of our makeup and in the way we.
I find with
Working
people
who
when
they are.
when they treat people like that, it's because they have something going on in them. It's making them unhappy,
Right.
and so they take it out on other people.
Right.
They walk around. I know I've done it, and people that I've been in therapy with have done it. Feel that way, and also notice, and you probably notice this too. If you tell somebody that they're beautiful, divine person, a divine soul, child of God who loves them, completely, unconditionally, they start to cry
Yeah.
because it's like overwhelming. I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
It's overwhelming to believe that. No one's ever brought that thought to them before. And,
Right.
maybe I am. So is that what you fight to, people who have that low self-esteem about
Oh
themselves?
yeah. And so it really takes practice to believe you're worthy, and it's if you have a support system, that's great.
Yeah,
But
if you
sometimes
do,
people
but
don't.
no,
Sometimes
no.
people don't have a
Yeah,
support
a lot
system,
of
so
people
you
don't.
have to
That's
just.
why they're in that boat to begin
So
with.
you need to believe in yourself, and you need to go and find other people like that. You know, whether it's a class you take someplace or some kind of social event, but there are other people out there who you can be around, you can spend time with. There's all sorts of great material you can read to help you sort of bolster your. There's just so much out there now, and with the internet and with cable and all that there's all sorts of resources out there. But it's tricky, but it does need to start. Give yourself permission.
I think the hard part is a lot of the negative people are in your own family.
Yeah, and it's like, what is that about? Because I think that before, because I believe we come back time and time again, and that we pick.
We're
we
the
pick
same
our
soldier.
Yeah, so I'm sure the people's like, well, why would I pick this mother? I don't understand.
Right. Oh, yes.
I was
That's
like,
for sure.
okay, there's some lesson that you
Yes.
needed to learn from it, or you wouldn't have picked her.
Yeah.
And if we take that kind of responsibility too, it's just versus the poor me, I'm a victim, why me? Well, that's
the old woundology.
yeah. It's just like
Carolyn Miss calls
just
it.
try to take a deep breath and move through it, and move past it. For your own good and for your own benefit.
Right.
The victim mentality holds people so back so much.
Really
Well, they hold on to it so tightly.
Yeah, because it's
victim
easy to
role.
blame someone else with it instead of looking at themselves.
Well, that's who they become, basically, is the victim.
Right.
In their mind.
Yeah.
In their
Yeah.
mind.
So it's work. I mean, none of this is easy, but it's work. But when you see the results, it's fantastic.
Can anything in this world be easy?
I call this world one big group therapy.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really is.
Well, what's interesting though about whether things are easy or not, it's all how we perceive it. Because there can be two people with the same challenging situation, and one person it's like the worst thing that ever happened, and it's never going to get better. There's no
Right,
solution. And
right.
the other person is like the complete opposite. Like, well, this is what happened. Just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
So again, it comes back down to that choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's not.
It's really not easy, no,
It's not.
it's
But it's
not easy.
rewarding, even with little tiny baby steps.
It is. It is
Yeah.
rewarding. It can change your life, make it so much better. But telling our audience out there, we want them to know that it's not an easy thing
No,
to do.
it's not. It's not. It's an ongoing process.
So people like yourself that come along with these books and these you have classes and things like that. That's they have to get into something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try.
Yeah. Just
Otherwise,
keep riding the wave.
Yeah.
Keep riding the wave.
can't give up. Can't give up.
Nope. So the next of the 10 B's is be a good listener. And I think a lot of people aren't great listeners, but we can learn to be good listeners.
Oh, that's for sure.
Because people talk and then people cut them off, or they're like you're supposedly engaged and the cell phone beeps or the BlackBerry, whatever, and you stop and do that, or you take and then that doesn't let that person feel like they're very important if you do that.
Right.
There's also two kinds of listening. There's active and there's passive. So it's completely okay when someone comes to you to talk to them to say, do you need me to just listen? Do you want me to just listen?
Yes, you're right
You know?
about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or would you like some feedback, or can I ask you some questions? But
That's
what
good.
do you need?
That's I've never done that. That's very good. I just learned something because
Yeah,
I've
that
offered
is good.
feedback
Mm-hmm.
and I was told I didn't want to hear anything. I
Right,
just wanted
right.
to. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's very good.
Yeah. And I also think in terms of being a good listener that we talk with our voices, but also with our bodies. And so I love,
Oh yeah.
I used to be a dancer, and so I'm fascinated by the human body. And you can watch the human body, and you can learn a lot from it. Is the person's, are their arms crossed and their ankles crossed? Is there eye contact? Are they, looking over them? So you can, somebody can say something and their body can be saying something completely different. So it's kind of fascinating
That's
to
exactly
watch
true,
the body, but to also just be really conscious with the listening and, just, I want to say something, but they really don't want me to, so I'm just going to be
Gotta
good
be
for that
quiet,
person.
right.
And that makes the other person feel really honored, because we're in such a go, rush, and we don't have time to sit and listen. And to do that and then have that person reciprocate is also, I
I
think,
think eye
another-
contact, though, is important. I've noticed a lot of people,
Yeah.
they'll be looking
Yeah.
off into the distance while they're talking to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a
And
second,
I'm like,
are you
I'm always
listening?
like, I just want to really look at it. I do believe it's like the windows to the soul, to look in
Yeah.
the eyes. So when someone's uncomfortable and they don't look at you, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
what's going
Exactly.
on there?
What's
What's really
they're
happening with
hiding.
that person?
Yeah.
So I
That's
think
true.
that's a really good skill that we can learn from.
I think everyone likes to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
So that interrupting, I get that a lot. People do that. Even friends, they'll listen for a minute and then they'll start onto something they do not. Okay.
right.
Right.
Or someone is pouring their heart out to the person, and the other person suddenly makes it about them.
Exactly.
Oh, well, this is what happened to me. Or
Yes,
let me
yeah.
tell you, and the person's like,
You're so right
I
about that.
really needed to just get it off my chest, and now it's all about the other person, and so it's really conscious and it's really work to be a good listener. But again, it's something if people really focus on it.
I'm sure our
It can
viewers
be
are going to
done.
realize this and say, "Oh God, I've done that," because I've seen it everywhere,
Yeah,
and that's a good point to
it's
bring up.
kind of common.
Yes, it is.
The next one is to be grateful. We talked about that. Very, 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 very important. Because I think the more grateful we are for what we have, the more the universe will bring us. So if we focus on the lack, I think we just get more lack.
More lack.
So did you get up this morning? Then you've got something to be grateful for.
Yeah, exactly.
There are people
Are
who
you
would
going to a
be
job? You got
so
something to be grateful.
yeah. If let's say somebody really wants that new Lexus, they want a new car, they want a new car, they want a new car. Well, do you have a car at all? Yes. Well, that's great because some people don't have a car.
Right.
Some people have a car that's always broken and they rarely are able to use it. Some people don't have a car at all and they have to take public transportation. Some people are in such a state that they don't have any money for transportation. They have to walk. I mean, if we really think about this and the things we get all, upset about, and because we're very materialistic, our culture, think about it. Think about how fortunate and how lucky you are. So every morning I do, when I get up, I have a gratitude journal, and I just write one sentence in it. It could be, I'm not crazy about the rain because it's chilly, but I'll say I'm grateful for the rain because clearly the grass and the trees and, there's always something.
Even that person who doesn't have the money and no transportation has to walk. They have to find something to be grateful for, and I'm sure they do.
He's got legs to walk on.
Exactly.
Even the person doesn't have legs to walk on. I mean, you can keep going and going
can.
because you're going to say, "Oh, well, that person may be listening. Well, I don't have legs. What am I?" Everyone has something to be grateful for, and I find a lot of those people are very grateful, are very happy.
Isn't that
They seem to
something?
be happier
You'll
than
find
us.
people who have a number of challenges, and they just have like the best attitude and the best energy because they found, found a purpose. We all want a purpose.
Even people that are getting ready to cross over to the other side. People that who've had a good life and had a loving relationship.
Yes.
And they're getting ready to trade in that old body and get a new one.
Yeah.
That's not so bad.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I used to be a hospice volunteer, and to watch people in that state. First of all, it's so peaceful and wonderful not to be afraid of death because I read once that people are afraid of death more than anything else. That's like the thing they're most afraid of. And if we just embraced, as many of us believe that, it's light and love and peace on the other side, and there's no more pain. The person was in pain, and I always think of it as a graduation. I don't really think of it as death. It's like I've learned
being launched. To the other
I've
side.
learned everything that I was to learn here. I've taught everything I've had to teach. I'm graduating, and I'm going to the other side. And so I think that's a wonderful thing. So yes, there's a gratefulness we can find in all sorts of situations.
The belief in reincarnation helps that a lot too.
Yeah.
Really does. There's so many beliefs out there that can be really scary for people. But that I think if they don't, people should really study and learn about it and see what they think. For themselves.
I think people fear the unknown.
That's it.
So exactly, if you talk to other people who have who do believe in reincarnation,
Or
we
just
can
read
share
some of the good
experiences.
books out there.
Right.
There's so many books. There was just one out, To Heaven and Back. That was just on the Today Show.
Yeah.
She was a doctor, and she went to the other side and came back to talk about it.
It's amazing. So grateful. There's so many things to be grateful for.
Right.
Every
really
day.
is.
So
It
to
really
really
is,
let ourselves be open to doing that is important. And then number 7 is to be spiritual. And that's going to be whatever it means. For some people, being religious or spiritual for them is going to Mass every week. For someone else, it's walking in the woods. For someone else, it's, I have a meditation room that has a meditation table, and so I sit on my pillow and all these precious things are there that make me feel connected to spirit. I have angels there, and I have a Bible there, and I have feathers from the beach and pictures of people who mean a lot to me. I have the names of loved ones and friends who have crossed over to the other side. So to me, that connects to spirit. But what is it? It might be listening to some soothing music to someone. What connects you with whatever that higher self is. And it can shift and change over time. It might be one thing now, and 10 years from now, you may have had a whole variety of experiences that has you shift, what being connected to spirit is. But I just think it's really a rich experience, and there's no, wrong to what you choose. Everybody, I like to study everything. You know, I like to study the traditional religions. I studied Wicca because I was just interested in what that means and if we learn it's so rich, it's like, oh, Wicca, that means, you know, really being connected to Mother Earth, believing in the power of thrice, and whatever you put out comes back to you threefold. You know, people have misconceptions about so many, you know, paths or religions. And I've had sent people out to do assignments, and you just go to the bookstore, and I want you to go to the religious section and see what calls you. When people are searching, like, I don't know what I believe, I don't know what I want to do, I don't know what I want to be, you know, go and pull out a book about, you know, Buddhism, and what do you learn about that? You know, pull out a book about being Presbyterian. What speaks to you? What calls to you? Just give yourself time to do that and connect with your spirit.
That's a good idea.
You know, and I have a friend who he walks in the woods with his dog. That connects him to spirit. That's what he does, and it's as valid as, you know, going to church every week.
Going to nature. It's so beautiful to go to nature.
Yeah,
it is. And back to the book thing, we fear what we don't know.
We do.
If we just realize that and start knowing about it, we won't fear it anymore. Learn.
And we'll find what moves us and what fuels us and feeds us and lifts us up. You know, but we need to, you know, get up and off the couch and do it.
That's right.
And we can't get an aha moment without any sort of preparation, but usually something triggers, you know.
Putting on television these days, I realize these movies and things and situation things they have are all about the people who are doing to others wrong things. And you know, and I said one day, I'm going, what am I watching this for? I see it in everyday life. Let's put on something funny or something, you know, and then some of the funny things are too stupid. So you know, you got to find a nice balance of heartwarming things.
Really good point. There's channel after channel of these, you know, horrible things that people are doing to each other and being kidnapped, and sometimes it's on the entertainment channel. I'm like, how is this entertainment? That somebody was kidnapped or harmed.
I know.
I don't understand.
Terrible.
But clearly there's a market for it, or it wouldn't be show after show after show.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so that's the thing that kind of makes you go,
betrayal and cheating and on and on and on. All these things that, you know. But you're right. Clearly there's a market for what they want.
That's exactly true. Turn the TV off and let's talk to each other, or take that walk in the woods.
The news. Forget the news.
And then the 8th one is to be positive, of course. Just to, again, make up your mind every day to be positive. You don't always stay there. There's a group called the Happiness Club. You ever heard of the Happiness Club?
Yeah, they're in Madison.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
What are they about? I don't know. Explain to our audience what they're about.
Yeah, the Happiness Club started in Fairfield, Connecticut. Lionel Ketchian, we call him the Happiness Guru, started this club, and I hadn't been here very long, so maybe 14, 15 years ago. And he was teaching a class at Sacred Heart University, a 4-week class on happiness. And afterwards, a couple of people said, God, wouldn't it be great if we could still get together and meet? And so they started this Happiness Club. I had only been here a short while, a couple of months, and a new friend cut out an article and said, this is kind of the silliest thing I've ever heard. What's a Happiness Club? And I was like, oh, a Happiness Club. Where do they meet? What do they do? You know, and I emailed Lionel and I called, and it turned out they were having a meeting like the next day. And I was like, is there room? Because of course. And at that time, we were meeting in a restaurant in Fairfield called Tommy's, and you go in and walk upstairs, and there was a room upstairs. And I remember walking up the stairs, and they were like smiley faces and happiness balloons, and I was like, home. It's like, E.T., I'm home. It was so fantastic, and so I've been a supporter and excited about the group ever since. So the first one started in Fairfield, and now I believe there's nearly 100 literally around the world of happiness clubs.
What do they do in these clubs?
Well, we have different speakers who come each month to talk about happiness in one
like little
way,
gems
shape,
in your
or
society that you don't know about.
Yeah,
like kind of
so
spotlighting
all sorts of interesting people who have maybe overcome cancer or sickness using happiness. You know, sometimes it's interesting, people will come who aren't happy and say, well, I'm here because my wife is happy, and I'm trying to figure out why. what is with you happy people, you know? Or sometimes whole groups of people who are widows or widowers will come because they just want to get out and be around some energy. But, you know, I always tell people, we don't sit around and hold hands and sing Kumbaya. That is not what we do, because we all have problems in things we have to deal with. We just literally have taken an attitude, a positive attitude, a happy attitude, about figuring it out, but we still have to figure it out. It doesn't just vanish and go away.
You help each other figure it out?
Yeah, we talk up. Yes, so we have a speaker, and then we have a dialogue back and forth, and there's a wonderful website that you can get a free newsletter. I mean, it's really fantastic. So, you know,
I've been wanting
it's a great
to go.
idea.
Yeah, and yes, there's definitely Madison. I've been to. I've done a
near there.
done a presentation
they
there.
want Jimmy to
Madison's
show us movie there.
Oh,
yeah.
They want me to speak there.
So that's great.
Right.
But I'm too chicken.
Yeah, right.
Oh, they're such a nice, wonderful
I
group.
know, I heard.
Tina, yeah, they're great.
I'm
So you
chicken
should-
little.
yeah.
One of these days, I'm almost there.
Okay, very good. So, be positive. Just make the decision to do it. Just do it. Be forgiving. That's a hard one for people. Again, because we sort of beat up on ourselves, and we don't want to forgive ourselves for what we've done, and we hold, grudges against other people, which I just don't really quite get, because it takes so much energy to do that.
It really does. Really does.
And it doesn't mean letting people walk all over you.
No. I mean, people, I think, need to be held accountable for what they do or how they act. But we can forgive them. Wouldn't we want to be forgiven if we had done something and perhaps we wish that we hadn't done it? What I remind people of is, if someone has acted to you in a certain way that you're really upset, and so that's why you have this grudge, you don't want to forgive them. If we can remember a couple of things, however someone is acting towards us, whether it's with light and love and positivity, or whether it's with sort of, really negativity and they're not very happy, it has nothing to do with you. And everything to do with where they're coming from. We just take it, because it's there, we take it in and we own it. We don't have to.
Right,
If we can literally think, as people are coming at you and saying things that aren't nice, and not about me. This is where they are. This is their issue. I don't have to deal with it. And that's just like this huge aha when we're able to do that. The second thing that we should try to remember in terms of being forgiving is, at every given time, everybody's just doing the best they can. Maybe we don't think it's good enough. Maybe we don't think it's the best it should be, but it's the best they can do.
And
If
just don't
someone's
judge people.
and
'cause
don't
you
judge
know
them.
what
Don't judge them. If someone's laying in bed with bronchitis, they're not going to be as functional as they could be, because they're not well. So we're doing the best we can every day, even if we don't like it or we think it should be something else, and we would change it to be this or that. We can't, but just be forgiving. I had this woman call me once who kept having this dream of her sister, and she hadn't talked to her in like 5 years, but she just kept dreaming about her, and she thought something might be wrong, but they'd had this big fight, and so they hadn't forgiven each other. I'm like, pick up the phone. Do you want to be right or you want to be happy? Pick up the phone and call.
Yeah.
And she did, and sure enough, her sister was very sick, had been thinking about her too. They both had been too proud to, contact each other. They talked, they forgave each other, now they're back in each other's lives. She gives me chills thinking about that sort of thing. So, don't hold grudges.
Yeah.
What purpose, at the end of the day?
It only hurts the person who's holding the grudge.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
end.
Why give them that power?
If you can just stop and think, hate the action, but don't hate the person. Okay? It's the act. The person is just as beautiful and wonderful as you are, but the action is
Right.
what they did. And so you can say, this is not acceptable behavior, but, I
Right.
love you, or I care about you, or
Right.
whatever.
And there's
Try to
good
remember
parts
that.
of us, and there's parts that aren't so great, and and the thing with being forgiving too is, to watch sort of the walls fall down when you just don't give any ammunition anymore.
Yeah.
So you're arguing about something and you're not forgiving about something. What if you were having this engaged conversation with someone, and instead of fighting back with whatever point they were trying to make, you just said, okay, that's your point of view. It totally disarms them. They don't know what to do because they don't have any ammunition
Some
anymore.
people thrive on that.
Yeah, they do. And so just to flip that and just stop fueling it and see what happens. I mean, it's worth it just to see the other person's reaction.
Yeah, I know. It's like, ooh.
I had an analogy about that. My ex-husband sometimes used to like to argue like that, and then he would stop because I wasn't arguing with him. Why aren't you saying anything? And I say, because you have started a fire. And if I say something, I'm going to put logs on your fire and make a bigger fire. So I'm not going to say anything at all.
Oh, that's a good one,
Yeah.
Rosemary.
So we've got
I remember
about
that log
4
on the
minutes or
fire.
so left, so I want to make sure you get everything
Yes,
in here.
yes. Be present and in the moment. So,
Yeah.
I think if we can do that one, you can do all the other 9 B's of positivity. Right here, right now. This is all that matters. You were right where we're supposed to be. We're dealing with whatever we're supposed to deal
that's
with.
true.
And we can't change what we didn't do yesterday, and we can't be 100% sure about what's going to happen tomorrow. So if we can just be present in the moment, it's a gift, as you've heard that saying. That's what the present is. It's a gift, and take it as such. I think we just have a really, really rich experience.
That's true.
So I try to just, sometimes I'll pick my own book up and I'll, to refer to it. I'll help people contact me and say that, I just really needed to work on being grateful. So that's the chapter I went to. Other people randomly open it and they like, this is what the universe wants me to work on this week. So I'm just going to focus on that.
Where can they get your book?
They can come to my website,
Okay.
www.positiveblissoneword.com.
Yeah. We're going to give you that information.
Is it on ebooks?
Is it any
It's yes,
bookstores or anything?
You can get it through Amazon.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, and you can get it directly from me.
people
Those
do
are the
that.
best. Those are the
Okay.
best ways to get it. And so a hard copy can be ordered, or an e-copy can be purchased on my website. And then my website talks about all my different modalities that I do. It has a schedule of the various locations where I'm doing workshops or presentations. And
Now, where is your office?
it's ARC Sacred Center in Monroe.
Oh, you with ARC?
I'm with ARC.
We're going to have someone from ARC on our show in the
Oh,
future.
oh, fantastic! It's
I
a
used to live in
wonderful,
Newtown.
wonderful. It's fantastic in Monroe, and it's a delightful, loving, meditation center with a wide range of modalities offered there. And then Sunday mornings, it's fascinating. We get together, and the Reverend Chris and Reverend Arlene, two reverends who run the space, and so they alternate with sharing information. And then they have other practitioners come in and talk about other religions.
And it's
spiritual.
non-denominational,
Non-denominational,
right? Which is nice
and
for
it's
people.
fantastic. So people should.
No one's trying to preach religion to you or anything
No,
like that.
no.
That's what's nice
So
about
yeah,
it. Yeah.
so definitely check out Arc Sacred Center.
Yeah.
And so
Awesome.
it's great. Being positive is great. I encourage people to try it. Try it, you'll like it, I think. I do one-on-one sessions. I do positivity coaching for people who want some one-on-one guidance to figure out what their goals are and set timelines. And so I work to help people do that. And
A question people are probably going to ask. We got one more minute, so I'll ask this question. Have you always been a positive thinker?
I have.
You have?
I don't know why, but my parents always said that. My siblings, they always said she's kind of the sensitive one, and she's always so positive. But I really have always been that way. And, I have read studies that say sometimes you're born that way, but even if you're not, you can learn to be that way.
Yes, I was going to say, I don't want people to get discouraged because
No, you can learn.
it doesn't matter,
You can learn
right?
little by little, maybe not overnight, but it's certainly doable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've made some big changes in
Bill?
my life, and if I can do it, you can do it out there.
'Cause don't you change the neural pathways in the brain or something when you think positive?
It's good for your health.
Yeah.
They've talked about people's ailments,
Oh, yeah.
really.
That is good for your health.
It's really good for your health.
I have a dear
to
friend
a good
who's so
attitude.
positive all the time, and what she goes through, and I go, oh. Then somebody says, when I grow up, I want to be just like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, this has been so great. We
Thank you
have
for
to
having
say bye.
Thank
and
you so much for
so
having
much.
me. I've enjoyed it very much.
And we're going to have you back
Thank
again to
you.
do dream interpretation.
love
This
to
is
come
going to be an
back.
exciting show.
Yes.
And I
Right.
have that book in my bookcase.
Oh, very
But I
good.
haven't read it yet.
Oh.
We're going to give people your contact information now. To contact Lynette Turner, her website is www.positivebliss.com. Her email is Lynette positivebliss@gmail.com, and the phone number is 203-877-7213. And to learn more information about this show or any of our past shows, please contact us at healoutsidethebox@yahoo.com, or to reach me, Rosemary Lachance, phone 203-627-7966, or my website is www.rosemarylachance.com. And for Jayne,
My phone number is 860-664-0174, and you could reach me at janepower@hotmail.com.
and we're also on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box. Come and check out. We have some pictures of our guests and a little information about all our shows. And our quote for tonight is, "You know how easy it is to feel compassion for one whom you see is suffering from a crippled foot or a wounded arm or a gash to the head. You very naturally wish to pray for the healing, the wholeness of that person to be revealed. When confronted with someone who seems to have a vicious personality or a lying character or a sinful disregard of the feelings of others, you must think of that person as also suffering from some sort of wounds of the worldly. The false spirit of error and wrongdoing and acting that falls upon we good spirits that the Creator made must be seen as one more thing that needs healing. Think of them this way and have the same compassion that you do for bodily ills, and pray to see them healed and whole and good and true." And that's from the angels. Good night.
Have a nice night.
Be lost or found. As you look out through the window